Many people spend a great deal of money buying expensive supplements and devote a lot of time doing all kinds of exercises, yet their health still does not seem to improve. The illnesses that are meant to come still come. None are spared. This tells us one thing. It is very likely that we've been going in the wrong direction from the very beginning. We have been focusing only on treating the symptoms without ever addressing the root cause. What are symptoms and what is the root cause? Let me give you an example. Imagine a room with a pile of garbage sitting inside it, left there for a long time. What happens? It begins to rot, emit a foul smell, and attract many flies, maggots, and mosquitoes. Now, when the room is full of flies, you find them annoying. What do? You grab a fly swatter and start swatting. Smack, 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 working very hard. It may seem like there are fewer flies. You might kill a few. But as soon as you stop paying attention, more flies fly in from outside. Why? Because the garbage is still there. That garbage is the root cause. The flies are just the manifestations, the symptoms. The flies are like the illnesses that show up in your body. When you take a painkiller for a headache, you are swatting flies. If you have high blood pressure and take antihypertensive medication, you are still swatting flies. If you have high blood sugar or diabetes and inject insulin, you are still swatting flies. You may kill the flies to some extent, but you have not touched the garbage at all. So tell me, has the problem truly been solved? No. Not only is it unsolved, but by using medication to suppress the body's normal responses, you gradually destroy its self-regulating mechanisms. Eventually, the body may stop sending warning signals altogether, and that is when real danger begins. So where do diseases truly come from? They do not come from external bacteria or viruses. Bacteria and viruses are just like the flies. They appear because your body provides an environment they like. And what is that environment? It is the garbage inside your body. In traditional Chinese wisdom, this garbage can be summarized as an imbalance of yin and yang. The I Ching tells us that the universe operates on one fundamental principle, the balance of yin and yang. Yin and yang arise together, and everything exists in pairs. Heaven and earth, day and night, sun and moon, male and female. The human body is a small universe governed by both yin and yang. Yang refers to movement, warmth, function, activity, and upward and outward motion. Yin refers to stillness, coldness, substance, storage, and downward and inward motion. A healthy person has yin and yang in relative balance, what we call the harmony of yin and yang. When the essence of yin and yang is properly stored and balanced, the spirit is clear and calm, energy flows smoothly, and the body remains healthy. But once this balance is broken, illness appears. For example, if you stay up late every night until 1 or 2 in the morning, you are harming your yin. Daytime belongs to yang, nighttime belongs to yin. Night is meant for the body to rest, store energy, and replenish yin. But if you continue working, stay awake scrolling on your phone, and constantly consume your mental energy, you are using yang energy to damage yin. Yin is like engine oil. Yang is like the engine. If you run the engine without oil, it will burn out. That is why people who stay up late over long periods often develop acne, mouth ulcers, dry mouth, and irritability, signs of yin depletion and false heat rising within the body. In the I Ching, the hexagram of nourishment, which relates to health preservation, says, "Observe how one nourishes oneself." This self-nourishment refers to the order and manner in which we eat, as well as our personal eating habits. How we eat is extremely important. For example, whether to eat fruit before or after a meal, or whether to drink soup before eating or after finishing the meal. All of this follows certain principles, and there is reasoning behind each choice. Eating hot dishes while drinking cold beverages is essentially going against one's own digestive system. So how can one eat in a way that leads to good health? Simply follow two principles. First, eat foods that grow locally. Heaven allows certain things to grow in certain places for a reason. It is not accidental, but complementary. It is meant to nourish and balance the health of the people who live there. If people living in a region lack certain elements or nutrients, the foods that grow there naturally help replenish those deficiencies. This is a law of nature. People who live in regions where chili peppers grow should eat chili peppers. Otherwise, their bodies may not adapt well and their health may suffer. But if you move to a place where chili peppers are not suitable, you should eat less of them. For example, watermelon is meant to be eaten in summer. If you eat it in winter, you may upset your stomach. What grows at a certain time in a certain place is carefully arranged by nature. That is why, to stay healthy, one must follow these natural laws when choosing food. Second, eat foods that are in season. Nowadays, this principle is often ignored. Crops that are meant to be harvested in a specific season are artificially delayed, grown longer, or forced to mature early for profit. On top of that, all kinds of off-season fruits and vegetables are now mass-produced and sold everywhere. From a traditional Chinese perspective, this is an act of going against nature. And when one goes against nature, who ultimately suffers the consequences? The answer is obvious when you think about it. Another example. People today love cold drinks. When the weather is hot, they gulp down ice beverages and ice cream. It feels refreshing for a moment, but only the mouth feels good. The spleen and stomach suffer. The spleen and stomach prefer warmth and fear cold. Pouring icy substances into the stomach is like throwing ice into a burning stove. The fire weakens instantly. The spleen and stomach are like the body's stove, responsible for digestion and absorption. If you keep dousing them with cold substances, their function declines. Food is no longer digested properly and instead turns into stagnation and toxins. These then transform into dampness, phlegm, and blood stasis, the garbage mentioned earlier. The more garbage accumulates, the more strange illnesses appear. So the root of disease does not lie outside us, it lies within, in our lifestyle, and in the balance of yin and yang inside our bodies. When we go against the laws of nature, the body naturally responds with consequences. This is only fair. There is no one else to blame but ourselves. Think of your body as a kingdom. The heart is the emperor. If the emperor is calm and wise, his commands are clear, and the entire country, the body, runs smoothly. But if the emperor is constantly angry, anxious, or fearful, his orders become chaotic. His ministers, the organs, no longer know how to respond. The liver, which should regulate the flow of energy, becomes overactive or stagnant. The spleen, which should transform food, stops functioning. The kidneys, which should store essence, begin leaking energy. The whole kingdom falls into disorder, and that disorder manifests as what we call disease. And what is the deeper root cause of illness, even beyond physical, of yin-yang imbalance? It is the heart, your emotions, your thoughts, and your desires. When you argue with someone over a small matter and become so angry that your face turns red and your neck stiffens, that anger surges upward as powerful energy. Where does it go? It rushes to the liver. The liver governs the smooth flow of energy. When you get angry, your liver's energy becomes blocked and stagnant. It can no longer function properly, and over time, liver disorders develop. That is why people who are easily angered often suffer from chest tightness, pain or bloating along the ribs, and indigestion. Some may even develop cysts or tumors. Why? Because their energy and blood are no longer flowing smoothly. They've become stuck and stagnant in that area. When you become overly excited, for example, winning a large sum of money while playing mahjong and laughing uncontrollably, you might suddenly suffer a heart attack. Why? Because excessive joy harms the heart. Too much happiness causes the heart's energy to scatter, the mind to lose focus, and the heart's workload to increase sharply. Then there is worry and anxiety. You spend all day fretting. What if my son doesn't get into college? What if the stock market crashes? Repeated thoughts like these cause your energy to knot up and stop flowing. When energy becomes blocked, the first organs affected are the spleen and stomach. That is why people who are constantly worried often lose their appetite. Their spleen energy is constrained by anxiety and can no longer digest food properly. Grief and sadness harm the lungs. The lungs govern breathing. Think of Lin Dai-yu, the famous fictional character from the classic Chinese novel Dream of the Red Chamber, Hong Lo Meng, one of the 4 great classical novels of Chinese literature. She cried constantly and was overly sentimental, eventually died of lung disease. That is not just a literary image, it reflects genuine medical reasoning. A person who lives in prolonged sadness will develop weakened lung energy, shallow breathing, and reduced immunity. Fear harms the kidneys. The kidneys govern storage and form the foundation of life. When you watch a horror movie or experience a sudden fright, you may feel cold, your legs may go weak, or you may even lose bladder control. Why? Because fear causes kidney energy to sink downward and lose stability. People who live under long-term fear and stress will inevitably experience weakened kidney function, lower back pain, chronic fatigue, and premature aging. So, when you look back, where is the true root cause of all disease? It lies in our restless hearts, in our greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt. These negative states are like poison, corroding body and mind day and night, and disrupting the internal balance of yin and yang. That is the true root cause of illness. External factors, wind, cold, heat, dampness, dryness, and fire, are only external triggers. They can harm you only when your inner defenses have already been weakened by emotional imbalance. Flies do not land on uncracked eggs. When the inner world is whole and balanced, no external evil can invade. So, what is true health preservation? True health preservation is not about treating symptoms, curing a headache when it hurts or a foot when it aches, nor is it about chasing expensive supplements or trendy fitness routines that focus only on appearances. Those address only the surface. Real health preservation comes from understanding things at the level of the Tao. It means returning to the root cause and addressing problems at their source. That root cause remedy can be summed up in 3 words: nourish the heart. When the heart is well nourished, most physical problems naturally heal and resolve themselves. How do we nourish the heart? Let me share a few simple and practical methods you can apply. 1. Follow nature. This is the most basic and most important principle. Human beings are children of nature. Our bodies are designed to live in harmony with the natural rhythms of the universe. As long as you follow these rhythms, you are unlikely to encounter major health problems. The simplest way to do this is to rise with the sun and rest after sunset. You may think this sounds old-fashioned, but it is actually the highest principle of health preservation. At night, when it is time to sleep, put everything aside and rest well. From 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., the triple burner meridian is active. This is the time to keep the mind calm and peaceful. From 11 p.m. to 1 a.m., the gallbladder meridian is active. It governs decision-making. If you are asleep during this period, the gallbladder can properly perform its detoxifying and metabolic functions. From 1 a.m. to 3 a.m., the liver meridian is active. Blood flows to the liver for detoxification and repair. If you are still out drinking or partying at this time, you are not nourishing life, you are nurturing illness. The I Ching, in the hexagram of nourishment, also teaches the importance of moderating one's diet. Eating should follow regularity and moderation, eating at fixed times and in fixed amounts. Do not overeat one meal and skip the next. Irregular eating exhausts the spleen and stomach, while overeating places an additional burden on them. Both harm the body. The digestive system has its own natural rhythm, just as bowel movements ideally occur around 7 o'clock in the morning. When you eat regularly and in proper amounts, following the natural rhythm of meals, your digestive system cooperates with you. Otherwise, it will rebel. So follow your body's natural rhythm. Eat when it is time to eat, and sleep when it is time to sleep. This is the simplest and most effective way to maintain health. 2. Regulate emotions. As mentioned earlier, emotions are the most important internal cause of illness. Therefore, a key aspect of health preservation is learning to manage emotions. Note that managing emotions does not mean suppressing them. Everyone has emotions. That is human nature. The key is to allow emotions to arise and subside naturally, in moderation, and in accordance with the middle way. When anger arises, pause and ask yourself, is this really worth getting angry over? Anger is punishing yourself for someone else's mistake. Why be so unwise? Thinking this way can dissolve half of your anger instantly. When you feel anxious, remind yourself worrying does not change outcomes. What is meant to happen will happen. What is not meant to happen will not, no matter how much you worry. Learn to pause, reflect, and shift perspective. Use that energy instead to eat well and sleep well. Only then will you have the strength to face problems wisely. Learning to adjust your mindset is crucial. Events themselves are neither good nor bad. It is our thoughts that assign meaning to them. Change your perspective, and what once seemed bad may turn out to be good. We all know the saying, a blessing in disguise, but few truly apply it in daily life. So practice observing your thoughts and emotions. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Why did this emotion arise? Gradually, you will become the master of your emotions instead of their slave. When the heart remains calm, peaceful, and joyful, energy and blood flow freely, more effectively than any medicine. 3. Eat with moderation. Health preservation does not mean forbidding yourself from eating this or that, turning life into a joyless struggle. The key lies in moderation and balance. First, do not overeat. The ancients said, leave a little hunger after eating to stay healthy. Eat until you are about 70 to 80% full, leaving room for the spleen and stomach to function efficiently. If you always eat until you are completely stuffed, your digestive organs will be overworked and eventually weaken. Second, maintain a balanced diet. Dietary moderation also includes nutritional balance. Think about it. Why do plants vary in so many different colors? Even the same type of vegetable can be red, green, white, or yellow. Why is that? This is nature's way of telling us to balance different colors on our plate and eat a little of each. Yet many people today are picky eaters. They eat only green vegetables or only meat. In the end, this leads to malnutrition. Therefore, one should not be selective or eat only a few types of food. The human body requires balanced nutrition, so the diet must be balanced as well. Different nutrients come from different foods. Fish provides the nourishment of fish, meat provides the nourishment of meat, and vegetables provide the nourishment of vegetables. To be honest, many people today skip breakfast, so essential nutrients are not absorbed. Sometimes, even when they do eat, the nutrients are lost altogether. That is why modern people, instead of becoming healthier, find their health worsening the more they try to preserve it. In the past, people rarely suffered from the so-called three highs: high blood pressure, high blood sugar, and high cholesterol, and it was uncommon for young men to suffer strokes. But now, all kinds of illnesses have appeared. These are problems caused by eating. We eat too much. Additionally, many health supplements today are better left untouched. The more one takes them, the worse things often become. This is because many supplements are healthy in name only. Although they claim health benefits, the substances they contain are often unhealthy, so one must be especially cautious. In summary, do not favor only one type of food. Grains, vegetables, fruits, and meats all have their place. In traditional medicine, the 5 flavors correspond to the 5 organs, and each flavor has a specific effect on the body. Sour enters the liver. It has an astringent quality that helps preserve fluids and energy. Bitter enters the heart. It clears heat, dries dampness, and supports heart function. Sweet enters the spleen. It harmonizes and tonifies, providing nourishment and energy. Pungent enters the lungs. It promotes circulation and disperses stagnation and cold. Salty enters the kidneys. It softens hardness and supports the body's essence and fluids. If one flavor is consumed excessively, the corresponding organ becomes overburdened, while others are neglected, leading to imbalance. That is why traditional medicine emphasizes balance. Excess of any flavor can harm the corresponding organ. For example, excess sourness may strain the liver, too much sweetness can weaken the spleen, and excess salt may overburden the kidneys, leading to fatigue, weak bones, or fluid retention. Modern medicine echoes this view. Excess salt intake raises blood pressure and strains the kidneys, potentially leading to long-term kidney damage. Finally, eat mindfully. Do not eat while watching TV or discussing work. When the mind is distracted, the spleen and stomach are distracted as well, and digestion suffers. Eat quietly and with gratitude. That alone is a powerful form of nourishment. 4. 3 essential elements: sunlight, air, and water. To truly care for our health, we must also pay close attention to 3 essential conditions: sunlight, air, and water. The first factor is sunlight. Physical health is closely related to how much sunlight we receive. Nowadays, some people have very pale skin, and some even pursue skin whitening in unhealthy ways. In fact, excessive paleness is a sign of ill health. Paleness is not a sign of good health. Its only advantage, as the saying goes, is that fair skin hides imperfections. The second factor is air. Air pollution is one of the most serious problems we face today. Most of the time, we live in environments with poor air quality. In the past, our homes were much better in this regard. When we woke up in the morning and opened the windows, fresh air would flow through and immediately circulate. A good house must be well ventilated. Air is like food. It is our most fundamental nourishment. Yet today, even though ventilation is possible, modern buildings and materials often seal us off from getting fresh air. Under such conditions, no matter how much we try to preserve our health, it will not truly work. The third factor is water. When it comes to health maintenance, water is often the most neglected element. Many bottled or canned waters, especially those stored in plastic containers, are actually unhealthy. They may contain harmful substances. 5. Balance, movement, and stillness. Life is about movement, that is true. Proper exercise helps activate yang energy, promote circulation, and keep the body vibrant. Gentle exercises such as Tai Chi or walking are excellent choices. However, exercise must have limits. Many people today push themselves with extreme workouts, sweating excessively and exhausting their energy. They believe this is training, but it is actually overexertion, which harms the body's vital energy. Movement belongs to yang. Stillness belongs to yin. Too much movement without adequate rest creates imbalance. Therefore, in addition to exercising, one must also learn to be still. Each day, take 15 to 20 minutes to sit quietly and meditate. Do nothing. Simply observe your breathing, one inhale and one exhale. You will find that your restless mind gradually settles. This stillness is not emptiness, it replenishes your deepest energy. When you are truly still, you can hear your body's inner voice and experience genuine peace and harmony. In summary, true health preservation is not about chasing external things. It is about finding balance and cultivating it within. It is a way of living, a wisdom of life. It asks us to stop abusing and exhausting the body and mind, and to return to a natural, harmonious, and balanced state. The essence of this practice is to nourish the heart. When the heart is upright, gentle, and open, emotions become balanced. When emotions are balanced, yin and yang are in harmony. When yin and yang are in harmony, energy and blood flow smoothly. When energy and blood flow smoothly, the organs function properly. When the organs function properly, the internal garbage in the body is naturally cleared away. Without that internal garbage, the flies, illnesses, have nowhere to land. Health cannot be begged for or bought. It must be cultivated. It is built little by little through daily practice, refining the body, calming the mind, regulating the breath, and eating with awareness. In today's modern society, technology advances at a breathtaking pace. The economy continues to soar, and the rhythm of life keeps accelerating and growing ever faster. In order to keep up with the times and create more wealth, people are forced to move faster and quicken their steps, often under pressure and anxiety. They dare not resign and quit their jobs, dare not get sick and fall ill, dare not take leave, as if the moment they stop, they will lose all sense of security. In the end, this leaves them utterly exhausted, unable to find inner peace within. Why has a perfectly good life turned out this way? Must one achieve financial freedom before daring to slow down and truly enjoy life? Perhaps the answer already lies within your own heart. 1. Restrain desire and cultivate the self. People today know very well that our biggest problem is that we know how to move, but not how to be still. The moment we become still, we feel uneasy and uncomfortable all over. If we have nothing to do, we rush to find something to occupy ourselves. The mind never rests. One thought has not yet ended before another arises. In an instant, countless thoughts and worries appear and emerge, and in truth, we are only creating trouble for ourselves. As long as a person has a physical body, thoughts and desires will arise. Once desire appears, it is hard to resist, and because desire has no end, people constantly push for more. Their greed knows no bounds. To satisfy their greed, some will stop at nothing: stealing, robbing, cheating, falsifying accounts, embezzling. Greed means taking what doesn't belong to you. In essence, is the act of encroaching upon what belongs to others. So how can greed be stopped? To stop greed, one must first stop desire. And where does desire come from? From the heart. The external world is constantly changing, but when our heart becomes still, we realize that even amidst the storms outside, there is deep peace within. Therefore, everyone must cultivate themselves. Only by restraining desire and cultivating the self can one find a truly reliable path. There is no better path than this. 2. Movement and stillness in proper balance. To move and be still at the appropriate times means this: when it is time to walk, you walk. When it is time to sit quietly, you sit quietly. According to traditional Chinese understanding, during midnight and noon, the human body should be still, lying down and resting. That is why a midday nap is such a good habit. You must understand this. When the timing is wrong, what you do becomes harmful. This includes activity like jogging or running during noon. Human beings should align themselves and live in harmony with time. Chinese culture has always placed great importance on timing because each period of the day corresponds to different functions of the body. For example, the best time for bowel movement is around 7 in the morning because that's when energy flows through the large intestine. If this process is disrupted, the body's internal order can easily be thrown into chaos. A person who is physically healthy and mentally calm knows when to move and when to be still. Such a person rarely suffers loss. Their heart remains joyful in spirit and naturally sees a brighter future. There is a saying, no sorrow is greater than the death of the heart. When a person's heart dies, they become complacent, lack motivation, grow lazy, stop striving, and even wrongdoing no longer stirs their conscience. At such times, they must be shaken awake to be revitalized. Throughout the year, spring, summer, and autumn, nature is in motion. It is seasons of movement. But when winter comes, it is a time of stillness. It is the stillness of winter that sustains the movement of the other 3 seasons. That being said, in short, only by resting can one travel farther. 3. Fulfill responsibility and stay within one's role. In the hexagram of stillness from the I Ching, it teaches the noble person reflects without stepping beyond his position. This means that a wise person knows how to stay within their role, to fulfill their responsibilities, to do what should be done, and not to do what should not be done. One must understand this. If a person does not stay within their bounds, they'll end up exhausting themselves and harming others. Everyone's capacity is limited. If you try to do everything, you'll end up doing nothing well. We may set goals, even ambitious ones, because we do not always know our limits. But setting a goal does not mean we must achieve it at all costs. It does not mean throwing everything into it with the mindset of succeed or perish. If everyone lived that way, society would fall into chaos. Having goals is good, but how much you accomplish depends on circumstances, and so whatever you can accomplish in the end, that is enough. Life is like this. Live as long as life allows, do as much as circumstances permit. This is what Confucius meant by knowing the mandate of heaven. I did not give up. I remained true to myself and to my friends, but circumstances were against me, and obstacles were too great. So I went as far as I could and did the best I ever could. Confucius himself lived this way. Some say Confucius never achieved his goals, but from another perspective, he achieved something far greater. He simply did not complete them while he was alive, but what he achieved after death far surpassed his original aims. His influence after death far exceeded his original ambitions, and no one since has been able to surpass him. Who is Confucius? Confucius was an influential Chinese philosopher, teacher, and political theorist whose teachings, known as Confucianism, emphasized personal morality, social harmony, righteousness, kindness, and loyalty, profoundly shaped Chinese culture, government, and education for millennia. So what is success and what is failure? Perhaps only after passing through the 3 stages, seeing the mountain as a mountain, seeing the mountain as not a mountain, and seeing the mountain as a mountain again, can one truly understand.